Hey, fellow guitar enthusiasts. Today I'm going to share with you some practical and easy ways that you can use rhythm to improve your guitar solos. These tips are straightforward and can be applied immediately to improve your playing. Hi, I'm Brian Fish from musictheoryforguitar.com. I've had the privilege of meeting and getting to know many top guitar experts during my decades of teaching guitar. In today's video, you will see a portion of my conversation with Mike Filipoff from PracticeGuitarNow.com about how to use rhythm to improve your lead skills and make your playing stand out. If you apply the practice strategies we discuss, your solos will improve.
Cool. So let's, if you don't mind, dive straight into some of the ways that a lead guitar player can use rhythm to make their lead solos more creative. What are some specific ways that somebody can practice? You kind of alluded to those, like the vocal thing, taking a vocal melody and using that in the solo. So I'm sure that's going to be one of the ways. But I'm sure you have some kind of a list that you use with students and so on. So maybe just dive into point number one.
Let's take one small phrase, and you're only allowed to play that rhythm for like 3 to 5 minutes straight. Okay? Now, you're getting two things out of this. You're finding out if you can actually keep a rhythm going that long. And two, you're going to find out that you run out of ideas, of your usual ideas, in probably 30 seconds or less. And so this is going to force you to start playing outside your comfort zone and start thinking, man, I've already played that 5 times. Is there something else I can play with just this rhythm? So that's a little bit repetitive, and it's definitely an exercise. It's not something I would do for an actual solo, but in my practice time, that's a really good way of expanding your boundaries and just getting some more phrasing elements in along with the rhythm. Because if you're just playing the notes and not adding bends, slides, things like that, it's going to get, well, within 30 seconds, you're going to be pretty bored listening to what you're playing. So that's one of my favorites.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's okay to accidentally sort of vary the rhythm, because I can see somebody thinking, well, what if I'm playing this rhythm that I wrote out and I accidentally varied, I play an extra 16th note or whatever. It's still part of the exercise to do it that way, and it's not any kind of a mistake. Would you agree with that?
Right. The idea is you're trying to keep as close to the original rhythm as you possibly can, and you're not constantly trying to think of new ideas. You're not searching for a new rhythm every time. You're keeping as close to your original idea as you can, and you're just searching for ways to make that interesting. And you can keep that, again, try to keep that going for 3 to 5 minutes. And if you're not struggling by 30 seconds, well, you've probably done a little bit of this work, whether you know it or not, on your own. So,
right. And I think the big idea here, and I think there will be an overarching theme, I'm guessing it will be, behind all the ideas in your list, Brian, is to really take the topic of, like, say, improvising, which is a big, daunting thing, and break it down into something you can actually practice to get better at. Same way as when you're learning a song, there's a lot of parts to a song, but you're not just going to play the whole song from A to Z, from the beginning to end. You would take a part of it, a piece of it, and you break it down, repeat that part over and over, refine it in whatever way it needs to be refined. When it comes to improvising, you can just put on a backing track and just jam for 5 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever. Or you can think, okay, I'm going to spend those same 5 minutes playing over a backing track, but focus on just one aspect, like Brian described, taking a single rhythm, and that is going to become my focus. The solo itself may suck because it's going to be all the same licks based on the same rhythm, but you're going to become a better improviser by doing that. And also it gives you a new lens through which to think about your improvising, as opposed to just thinking, okay, what are the notes and what are the scales that fit these chords? It's thinking in terms of rhythm. So that is something that's important to remember, just as an overarching theme behind the things we're talking about. Would you agree with that, Brian?
Yes, and it forces you, it's in the phrases. Now we have a sentence with a period at the end, and we've finished that sentence. Now that it's going to be like a kid's book where the next sentence honestly sounds almost the same, but we're trying to get something new out of that material. And that's the idea, is to keep it simple and just see how far you can push it. And your ability to improvise and come up with things on the spot is going to improve doing this, but you're starting with rhythm in mind. So that rhythm is the key to it. the notes you play over it, that can vary as much as you want it to. It's just how long can I keep this idea going with slight variations here or there.
Right. Are there some examples of guitar players who you think you do this? I think Paul Gilbert, oh, not Paul Gilbert, John Petrucci is somebody who the last thing you said, having each phrase sound like a statement that connects to the next one rhythmically. I noticed that in a lot of his slower solos, like the Best of Times from what's that album? Dark Clouds and Silver Linings, something like that. I think I remember that correctly. So John Petrucci is one example that comes to mind. Are there any others that you might think of? Players who use this type of technique?
Yeah, I happen to kind of like a lot of bluesier music. So for
Okay.
me, a guy like Warren Haynes is great. To me, it's almost as if he's asking a question and then he's answering that question, and he's carrying on a conversation with himself. So, and that's actually a cool thing there too, is you can keep that initial rhythm that you had as your question. Okay. And then you have to find a way to answer that question. And then this exercise is like you're living with a toddler, where the same question keeps happening over and over again. Okay. And you've got to find a different way to answer this question. And you can keep that going for a while too. So the first rhythm would be a static rhythm that you're playing, or even the same lick. And then how can I answer that with, you can't have it be an answer that's completely, off the reservation. It's got to be close to, it's got to be in relation to what you just played. And yeah, it's that type of playing where you can literally hear a musical conversation going on. There's this phrase relates to this phrase, relates to this phrase, and it's not a bunch of randomness, which really is what I hear when a lot of people improvise. Is they know their notes, they know their scales, but there's nothing that's going to hold my attention because there's no phrases in there anywhere.
Right. Cool. And I think one way somebody might apply that is actually, when it comes to thinking of a rhythm, actually be very clear on what the note values are, so you don't forget what the rhythm is, which is probably really obvious thing to say. But when you are starting this exercise, actually take a piece of paper or open a guitar profile or whatever you use, and determine what the length of the rhythm is going to be, what the specific note values are going to be, so that when you do this for 10, 15 minutes, if you were like, what was that rhythm again? You look at it and it just jogs your memory of what it's supposed to be.
No, I write it on paper on a whiteboard, and it's there in front of me. Because yeah, your concentration drifts. I mean, we're human. We can't help that. And as soon as you feel that happen, you look back at that rhythm and you remind yourself what the exercises you're supposed to be doing. Because that's how you're going to get better, is with focus. If you're just mindlessly wandering through something for a 5-minute jam track, you're not getting any better. You're having fun, you're entertaining yourself, but you're honestly not getting better. You need to have a goal in mind going into that. Now, if you want to learn another easy method to create multiple variations for any phrase and enhance your improvisation skills, I highly recommend checking out the guide to making any rhythm sound even better. This straightforward guide will not only assist you in fully utilizing the potential of any rhythm you play, but will also help you unleash your creativity. Click the link below this video to grab your copy today.